Hello, and welcome to The Content Bite, a podcast for freelancers who use their words to make money. I'm Rachel Smith, a freelance journalist, copywriter, and content producer. I'm also the founder of Rachel's List, a jobs board and community for Australian writers and other creatives.
And I'm Lynne Testoni. I'm a journalist and content writer as well. Rachel and I are your weekly co-hosts, and every week we bring you all kinds of tips, tricks, and some fabulous guests to help you make the most of your freelance business.
On The Content Bite, we love an automation.
Oh, we so do. We so do.
Anything that saves us time is awesome, which is why I loved Rounded. It tracks invoices, so I don't have to remember who's paid me or who needs chasing up. And I was wasting so much time on admin, literally hours every week. And now it takes me about 2 minutes to send an invoice. I also really love the gamification of Rounded. You can look on the interface and look at all the little pie charts.
You set your targets.
Set your targets. It's amazing. So
it is good.
Yeah, big thumbs
And if you're a gold member of Rachel's List, you're also in luck because you can save 20% on any annual Rounded plan. And see the show notes for details.
Hey Lynne, how are you? I am so excited about today's episode because it is definitely time to revisit SEO. I don't think we have done anything on SEO since Liam Carnahan, maybe, which was a while ago.
No, it's been a while. And I really think that SEO has been so overlooked in the last year because everyone's been talking about AI, but it's so important, such a critical skill, and it particularly for writers working in the digital space.
Yes, and we just have the right guest to talk us through it. We're going to cover domain authority, index keywords, backlinks, all those nerdy things. Don't let your eyes glaze over. It's going to be way more exciting than it sounds. Lots of knowledge to share. So why don't you introduce our guest today?
Of course. Now, we've got Abbey Courtney on today. Now, she's from Duo Collective, which she runs with Courtney Peterson, and it's a boutique organic marketing agency that specializes in search and design. They've been a duo for more than a decade, which is lovely. Like us, Rach.
Oh, a bit like us.
Yeah.
We haven't hit a decade yet.
No, almost. Dating all the way back to the big agency days before they ventured off on their own to help small business owners grow their brands. So they style themselves as being one part strategy, one part creative, giving you everything you need to get found online without pouring money into paid ads. Just what we need.
We love that.
Abby's joining us today, so welcome, Abbey.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to talk about all this stuff, as I usually am. Very nerdy in the SEO world.
We are. We're extremely nerdy. Yeah. And I think a lot of our listeners are too, which is great.
Yeah,
we'll get along.
Great. Yeah. So you worked in the agency world before moving to establish your own business. What was the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, so we loved our agency world and agency life, and we worked together in the same capacity we did now. So I worked on the client side, on the account side, and Courtney worked on the design side. So it wasn't until maybe halfway through our agency stint, we both worked there, just not in the same client, that we started working on the same client together. So we were working together all day. And really that is kind of, we just started doing more coffee walks and working and like just doing things out of the office all the time. And we really kind of started thinking like, oh, we love the agency, we loved it, but you kind of get to a point where you either have to go into the VP, the exact kind of roles, or you stay where you are. And when you get higher and higher in the agency, you get out of a lot of the things that you get out of the work, right? And you're in more of like the really high level executive work. And it's not as fun, in my opinion. And we were working with really big clients with really big budgets, which can be fun. But we really had this desire to make a difference and work with smaller businesses and entrepreneurs and really take all the knowledge that we learned at the agency and help those people. And so it was really just about the work and feeling really good about what we were doing. And that's kind of the shift, is we just one day had this idea as we were having coffee that, hey, why don't we do what we're doing now and do it for the people we want to do it for? And so we started doing it on the side, and then one thing led to another, and we quit those jobs and kept this going. So worked out great.
Fantastic.
Wow. Was that kind of nerve-wracking initially, like thinking, is this going to work? Are we going to be able to find clients and all of that? It sounds like you did it in a similar way to how I did it when I moved into freelancing, with one foot in both camps.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's definitely terrifying. I ended up quitting at the end of my maternity leave. So it felt really natural, actually, at the time. I had already been out of the work. And then it was just, okay, we knew at the time we were going to quit. We knew we were okay with 0 clients. Like, we made sure that we took the pressure off. And then it just kind of spiraled into getting busier and busier, and then Court quit, I think, a year later. So we had to find time to juggle, like, me full time and her not, and making sure that we weren't overloading her capacity too. So it was an interesting journey, but then we eventually got to the point where we're both full time, and I think it's always scary. I mean, you're always scared about the money could stop at any point, right? And that never goes away. So I think you just got to take the leap and get started.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Do you guys work in the same location, or are you both remote?
We're about 30, 40 minutes away from each other. So our houses, we work out of our homes. So, and then we like to get together every other week, I'd say. On a good month, we'll get together every week. So we're not too far, but it's good just to get out of our house and not be on Gmail chat every day and actually see each other face to face.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're based in Minnesota. Like, I don't really know Minnesota that well. I think, haven't you got the Mall of America? Is that in Minnesota? That's
I don't even know, do we?
Oh,
Mall of, yeah, the Mall of
Yes.
America. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's
yes,
all
it
I
is.
know about Minnesota. But it can get pretty
Right,
cold,
I know.
doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah. Minnesota usually is very cold. We are having the weirdest winter ever, and it is like 40s, 50s in January and February. So I don't know what is happening. It makes me scared for our world a little bit, but I'm soaking it up. I'm like very happy with not being able to go outside. My kids are still riding their bikes. It's great.
Oh, good.
You're not shoveling snow to get out of the front door and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I know. Usually we're like buried, but yeah, we're right smack dab in the middle of the US, right underneath Canada. So it's I don't know, it's a great, city to come visit, but we're flyover, right? People are going to New York or going to California.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a good little spot to hang out in the summer, not winter. I won't come here in the winter.
Yeah. So tell us about your clients. Are you finding most of them are fairly local to you in Minnesota, or do they just come from everywhere? And how many do you handle at once?
Yeah, we actually just did a podcast episode on how many clients we take at one time, which
I
is a
listened to
very
that. Was it?
relevant question.
It was. It was
Yeah.
really interesting about how you handle like 10. You've got 10 clients at the moment or something. Wow.
Yeah, we have about 15 clients at the moment. But I say that like that always has an asterisk because people are at all different phases of the process, like just getting started filling out questionnaires to just finishing, and now they're about to get an analytical report, to like some way midway through the project. So we have a very specific process and timeline. So it makes it very easy for people just to fall in, and we know how much we can manage within a week. So that's really, really helpful. But our clients are from everywhere. So we have some clients that are in London right now. We have some clients spread out all over the US. We have lots of clients that come from Canada. So like there's people all over the place. And from an SEO perspective specifically, I look at things based on where people are located. So, or where you want to drive your clients. So if people want to focus on the US, then we'll do the keyword research on the US. If we want to focus just on Australia, then we'll do the keyword research just in Australia. So it's definitely something that we can hone in on depending on where they are. And those are all things we ask in our questionnaire of like, what is it? Who's your audience? Because that's what we really want to understand so that we can put that hat on to understand all the things that they're searching for online.
So were you really strategic in those early days about building the business, or did it happen organically? What did that look like?
When we initially started, we really were like, okay, we've done marketing, like, marketing, I'm using quotations right now because that's such a big word. So we'll just do that for other people. So we started doing kind of everything. We were doing social media, we were doing branding, we were doing SEO. We found more and more people were coming to us for organic stuff, not paid. And we really loved organic, and we really believe that unless you have a solid foundation your paid strategies aren't going to work. Like you need to have some type of foundation first, and
Yeah.
then you can start pouring the money into what's working for you. So we love that idea of having this organic strategy. So naturally it just kind of like, okay, organic fits. This is what people want. This is what we're doing. And then it was last year that we ended up dropping social because Court and I had this very just conversation just about what do you like to do? Like, I love to do SEO. She loves to do branding. Why are we trying to do anything else? Like, sure, we like social, but it's not, we'd like to go deeper, not wider. And so that's really when we kind of just specialized in these are the two things we like. And they're two things that help you get found online and remembered online, because if you don't have a good brand, people aren't going to remember you. So it just kind of fit really great. And it evolves year over year. And I can't say that we're going to stay the same. I mean, in 2-3 years from now, we could be different. So who knows? I like that.
It's interesting. And you're obviously the passion, your passion is SEO. So let's talk a bit about the key things that writers need to know about SEO.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So I think the biggest thing, specifically from a copy standpoint, is that we've been stuck in this old world of finding a keyword and writing for that keyword, and then using that keyword a number of times within our posts. And that's probably the biggest shift I think that writers have a really hard time shifting, is that we don't need to write for one keyword anymore. And the algorithms and the search algorithms are so much smarter than that. And they want a really good piece of content. They want you to answer the searcher's question. And if you can answer the searcher's question using that keyword 1 or 2 times, but it's a really good piece of content, you're going to perform really well. And that's all that matters, is creating good quality content that is answering what people are searching for. So I think that's the biggest thing, because we are so this old school methodology of finding a keyword, using it 10 times in your blog post, and the more you use it, the better your content is. And that's just not true anymore. And I think we forget that these algorithms evolve and they get smarter and they can serve better for us. So that's one of my biggest things that I talk to with writers, and it takes the pressure off, I think.
I think so. I think it's reassuring to know that the algorithm, which is the way it's designed really, is to reward good quality content. And so if you write well and you answer, the questions, it should be good for you. Yeah.
What about the content you've written that has, used that old sort of way of thinking where you might have 10 mentions of the keyword in like a 2,000 word post or something like that? Are you meant to sort of go and revise that, or how does that work?
I'd say it depends. So if that piece of content is performing really well, then it's likely you did use the keyword a bunch of times, because naturally sometimes you are going to use it if you're writing for that keyword and you created a really good piece of content. If you go back and you look at a piece of content and it's not performing well and you're ranking on page 10, but you really like this post and you want it to be better, then going in and updating is actually just as valuable as creating a new piece of content, because it's less important to have so many blogs or written pieces or articles or whatever it is. It's less important for quantity and it's more important for quality. So if you can go back and say, like, you were planning on writing 4 pieces of content a week, or a week, oh my goodness, maybe, but that's kind of crazy, like a month or a quarter, whatever it is. Say you plan on writing that many pieces of content. I would rather you do 2 new pieces of content and go revise and optimize 2 old pieces of content, because that's going to give you just as much value. Google and other search engines are looking at the overall quality of your website. So if you have a ton of low quality old content out there, that could actually harm you. So it might be better to go back and update those rather than just always creating new.
That's so interesting. I just want to ask another question about this. When you're looking at your content, kind of auditing your content overall, should you be taking some of those old posts and redirecting them to newer ones that they're related to, rather than deleting them? I think that's a big question that people have. Like, do I delete this post? It's not relevant anymore. I don't want to rewrite it. What do I do with it? Is that going to damage you more if you just delete it than if you do a redirect to a related post?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So if you do decide to delete the post, you can go into Google Search Console and you can actually remove it from search. So that would be my recommendation. If you are going in and you're like, okay, I'm looking at this piece of content, there is no relevant piece of content I can redirect it to, because if you redirect it to a piece of content that isn't related, that you can get in trouble for. But if you're redirecting it to a piece of content that is related and makes sense, then absolutely you can do that. It just depends on making sure that you do it as a 301, which is a permanent redirect. So you're telling search engines that, hey, this is permanently redirected here. So then they'll index that new piece of content. If you do it as like a 302, for example, then that will be temporary. So then it won't actually index that new piece of content. So it depends on how you code the redirect, so to speak, which honestly, if those feel overwhelming, it's usually wherever you set up your URL redirects, they give you directions exactly on how to do it. So it's not super overwhelming. But that would be my recommendation, is if you are going to remove it because it's not getting traffic, it's outdated, just remove it from the search engine, because now you know no one's going to find it, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I didn't know that you could do that actually in Search Console. So thank you for that tip. I just wanted to quickly explain for people that don't know about redirects or 302s and that sort of thing. It's something that you can do quite easily if you have a WordPress site and you're using Yoast, the Yoast plugin, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. So Yoast will help you too. And redirection is actually my favorite WordPress plugin, because that one, once you have it set up, if you go and change a URL slug, or if you want to redirect anything, it automatically does it for you. So that makes the process a lot cleaner. I actually just, with one of my clients, she made a huge shift in her business. She used to be like a party planner, and she used to create like gift guides and party plans and things for moms. And now she's almost like in the PR world, and she's helping people get media features and outlets. So now it's very different business, but her business ranks for like little boy race car party, and like a princess ballerina party. And she's like, I don't want those people coming to my website anymore. So we needed to go through and remove all of those links. And what we actually did was create a custom 404 page for her website, so that, because for those, there is no redirect, because she changed businesses. We don't want to redirect them someplace that they're going to be ticked off that they're not getting the party details that they really wanted. So instead, we created a custom 404 page that said, hey, are you here for the party plans and fun? Like, so sorry, I don't do that anymore. This is what I do now. If you're still interested, go here. If not, have fun pinning. So it's a really good experience. Like, going to a 404 page, people always think is bad, but it's actually not bad. The only bad thing is if people have a bad experience. But if you can make it a better experience and help them understand what's going on, then it can be actually helpful for you in your overall journey.
Yeah, you can actually make those pages quite fun and engaging and interesting, can't you? They don't have to be this boring signpost sort of thing.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That is one of the things I love to talk about. If you go to duocollective.com/404, I think ours is like, this page is as useless as a website without an SEO strategy, or something like that, which is funny and playful.
I love it.
And then there's a link that you can read more about 404 pages and what they are. And then another link that sends you to like our services and offerings. So those are really fun pages to play with when you can like bring your brand into it.
So interesting. Such
clever.
a great opportunity. Yeah, very clever. Not something I would have thought of. Yeah. So tell us about domain authority. So that's a bit about what you're saying about ranking, which with search engines, and what does that mean?
Domain authority is a little bit like a popularity score, kind of. It's basically you can go online and just Google domain authority checker. Moz has a free tool that you can use and go check out. It's basically just saying, how authoritative are you in the industry that you're in the thing that you offer, in the thing that you sell. The higher the number, it's scored 0 to 100. So the higher the number, typically the more authority you have. And the easier it's going to be to rank on a search engine page, because people with high authority are going to get kind of first dibs. Not always. Like, you can still create a better piece of content than someone with a higher domain authority and still rank higher. It's just going to be easier for you to do it. So domain authority is basically the best ways to grow it, because if you go on one of those checkers and you look and you're like, I'm 0 or 1, like, know that this number is so hard and slow to grow. It takes a long time. If you grow a couple points a year, that's really good. It's honestly the slowest metric, so it can be really annoying to watch.
Mm.
But the best
Yeah.
thing you can do to grow that number is to grow the content you have. So sometimes what I see is people are missing Google Search Console, for example. If they're missing that tool, then they realize that they don't have their content indexed and they have all these blogs and all this content that they've created on their website, but a search engine doesn't know you're there. So the whole if you build it, they will come doesn't happen unless you tell Google like, hey, I'm here, I exist. So that can be really important, is to make sure that your content is created and also that search engines know about you. And then the other piece that really grows your domain authority is backlinks, which backlinks are links of your website that live on someone else's website. It's basically like the digital word of mouth. So say you're featured in a directory, or you get featured in a magazine, or someone does a guest blog post about you, or you're featured on a podcast. Those links now live on someone else's website and drive to yours. And the more you have of those, the more Google and other search engines are going to sit there and say, oh, they must really know their stuff. They must know what they're doing. Like, people are talking about them, people are linking them, people trust them. So that can also lead to a higher domain authority. So it's kind of two things. Sometimes people think it's all about the content, but it's also getting people to talk about you too.
Yeah, interesting.
Mm.
Means I should say yes to all those opportunities, which I don't always do. Yeah.
Yeah.
We only
Yeah.
have so much time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you that, going on and checking your domain authority or your DA, because it comes up in like SEO programs and you can do the Moz checker and all of that sort of stuff. It can be like quite overwhelming and annoying because you're waiting for it to go up. And like you say, it's a slow metric. It's not very exciting. It's better to just ignore it and check it once a year.
It is very slow. I know, it is very slow. I always tell people never look at anything more than quarterly, because SEO, especially organic SEO, is so slow. Like, the growth just feels so slow. So don't look at it like every week, every month even, because it can feel really frustrating. But if you're looking quarterly, you can actually get some insights and take them and actually see growth. And it can be a little bit more rewarding that way.
Mm-hmm. So we've just touched a little bit on backlinks. Do you put some kind of backlink strategy plan in place to supplement content strategies for clients that you're working with?
Yeah, so we love building strategy plans. We don't actually do the outreach for our clients, so we're not going to be the one like in your inbox emailing people, but we love to do strategy links or strategy plans, kind of easiest to hardest. Obviously, a directory is going to be easy. You need to fill out a profile, you need to fill out some information, and then you might need to pay a little bit of money, but then you typically get featured on their directory, and now you're there. That's a backlink. Things that can be a little bit harder is like guest blogging or appearing on a podcast, because that's going to take, an hour of your time, or you need to write that piece of content for someone else's blog. So different things like that will take a little bit more energy. One of my favorite ways to get backlinks is to search for things like list posts. Some people call them like listicles or things like that. So for the podcast, for example, you go and you search 10 the best podcast for writers, and you go find all these list posts where people say 10 podcasts for writers, 20 podcasts for writers, and you pitch them, and you just cold pitch them in an email, and you say, hey, I would really like, I found this article, I think it's really great. You also need to make sure that these pitches are positioned in a way that you understand the give take and you're helping their audience. It's not just all about you. So you need to say, hey, I know your audience is searching for this. I think we can really differentiate that because this is what our podcast does. This is what we focus on, and none of your podcasts do this or offer this or whatever that may be. And then in return, what can you do? And it can be, I'll share this on my website. I'll give you a backlink, like a backlink for a backlink can be kind of nice. Or I'll share this with my email list or whatever it may be. You might do 10 of those emails one day and 2 respond. But those 2 that maybe feature you show up on page 1 of Google. So not only is it a backlink, but it's likely something that drives traffic. And now that backlink is going to help your authority, but also drive traffic to your website drive traffic to your podcast, whatever it may be. So that can be a really fun strategy and something that's really more niche to like your audience and what you offer, and just a really cool way. It takes a little bit of work, but it's a cool way to get a backlink.
Yeah, that's nice. That's quite simple. Are there other things that are good to know about a good SEO strategy? Are keywords still important? I mean, we talked about them right at the beginning a little bit.
Yeah, so I'd say that's the biggest thing, is just don't overthink it. Like it's just, we like to overthink and complicate keywords so much. I would also say every time you create content, like it's great to use keywords, understand how that content performs. When it comes to all the other pages of your website, like your home pages, your service pages, your about page, all of those. For those pages, that's really like the foundation. And the home page is actually known to be one of the most important pages of your website. And so if you think of that as like the center of the circle of like most important for getting your website indexed by search engines so that they know about you, that's the most important. Everything one click away from that home page is going to be second most important. The more clicks you get away from that home page, the least important that those pages are going to be. So when you think about the foundation of your website, you really want to think about that of like, how is the overall design of my website working? Like, is it structured in a way that's helping people navigate to the most important pages, helping search engines understand the most important pages? And then once you have that foundation set and you've optimized that website and you've done all the things that you need to do on those core pages of your website, you don't really need to touch it again, which is the best part about it, because unless you change your audience, unless you change your offerings, that's going to continue to work for you. And now you can create content, you can work on backlinks, but that foundation isn't something you need to pay someone for month over month to manage, because it's going to work for you. So that's one of my favorite things, is I love kind of helping people understand the power of organic growth.
Yeah.
Maybe talk to us a little bit about keyword research and some of the best ways to do that with free and paid tools, and the kinds of metrics you're looking for in a good keyword.
So Keywords Everywhere is one of my favorite plugins. That's a plugin that just goes right into your Google or whatever search bar you use. So that one is really great because you can search right within the search engine, and it just makes the whole process a little bit easier. Ubersuggest is another tool that I really love. So that's one that there is paid versions of it. You get 3 free searches a day, I think. Otherwise they have lifetime plans. So you pay a couple $100 and then you don't have to pay anymore and you just get it for life. So that's one of my favorite tools, because that one you can get a little bit more specific, like how I was talking earlier about searching within different countries and different locations and things like that. And then SEMrush is another tool that we use that I really only recommend for people that are doing SEO every single week or day. Like when you're really into it, then that can be a tool that can be really helpful. But I use with a lot of my students and everything, we usually typically lean on Ubersuggest because it's very affordable. I think anyone, whether you are offering SEO services or offering copywriting services, whatever it is, or not, or you're just using it for your own content and for your own blog, I think that tool is very affordable and very helpful. And one of my favorite things to use those tools for, and one of my favorite ways to find research, is to take your competitors' domains and plug them into that tool and see what keywords they're ranking for, what keywords drive traffic to their website.
Yeah.
That can be a really fun way to understand how people are using keywords in your industry. So yeah, it's just kind of, those tools can feel intimidating, but just digging around in them and actually seeing, oh, this keyword is searched this many times a month. It can either be eye-opening, because a lot of times my clients are like, these are the keywords I want to index for. And I go search them and no one's searching for them. I'm like, that's great, but no one's using those words. So you're likely optimizing your website for the words you think, but those aren't actually the words that are going to drive traffic. So then we have to shift gears and really understand, okay, what are people searching for? And that's where I love leaning on like competition and other people in the industry to help start that brainstorm, because that is oftentimes where a lot of people get stuck, is like, where do I even begin?
Yeah.
That's great
so
too.
Interesting. So tell us about your podcast, because obviously Rachel and I are keen on podcasts. How does that impact your business? Does that drive traffic as well as another medium?
Yeah, so podcasting has been our favorite. I don't know about you guys. I mean, you probably feel the same way, but it is my favorite form of content creation. I love it more than anything else, I think, because it's like way easier than you think it's going to be. I think it's really daunting at first, but then once you get it started, it's really like
Yeah.
there's a process you follow. You can batch it. Like it just ends up being a really easy way to create content. And actually, when you have a podcast that is supported with show notes, or you create essentially a blog post for every podcast episode, now you've just made your podcast searchable. And that is one of the easiest ways to consistently blog or consistently create content. Because if you're dropping an episode every Monday, you also need to drop a blog every Monday. Now you're showing Google and other search engines that you're consistently showing up, you're consistently creating content, and you're consistently driving traffic to your website. So it's a really great way to repurpose, because now you have a podcast that can also be a blog post that is also driving traffic, that also has keywords in it that people are searching for. And you have the benefits of bringing guests on that also drive traffic in different ways too. So it's a underutilized SEO strategy for sure. As long as you supplement it with show notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling very guilty right now because that is really what we need to get better at doing. We do try to do the show notes, but it's quite a big job, isn't it? Because you
Yeah.
have to put it through Otter or some kind of transcription. And then, although I know that you can get transcription through Zoom now, and you can also get transcription, or it's coming through Apple Podcasts. I don't know what the quality of that will be like, but you still have to go through the entire transcript and tidy it up and all of that. And that takes time. And yeah, I mean, how do you get more efficient at that process?
Yeah, so there is actually a tool out there that I think could be very beneficial for this, because right now what we do is we have someone on our team who actually helps do that transcription, which is very nice. So basically, I do the podcast episode, I hand it off to her, she creates the blog, builds that all out, does that keyword research, I verify everything, and then we publish. My husband's our podcast editor, so that also makes it very nice. He just edits the podcast. So all of that is like really nice if you can lean on someone to like help create that, because it is a lot of work. I mean, running a podcast, there's a lot of different things you have to do behind the scenes that people don't realize. Content at Scale is actually an AI tool that will take the audio file and create you a blog post. It is a pricier tool, so I think it's a few hundred a month. So it's pretty comparable to like hiring a VA or hiring someone to work on your business too, but it's also extremely efficient, and it's very SEO driven. So you can tell it the keyword that you want it to write for. But the ability to take your audio file and create a blog post for you is amazing. And I also think even just using like ChatGPT or some other AI tool to actually take your transcript and clean it up, as long as you give it clear direction, can be such a good starting point. None of those tools are going to be perfect. You'll still have to tweak, but they save so much time. And the more you do it, the more you start learning the quirks and the things you don't like about it. And then you can tell it next time not to do that, which then helps it get better and better at creating that content.
That's a great tip. Well, I know that you also specialize in branding, you and Court. What are some of the important things to know about branding for freelancers? What are some mistakes that freelancers make with their branding?
Oh boy, there's so many things I could talk about here. I think the biggest thing is just not focusing on it, like just not looking at your branding, because a lot of times we're trying to save dollars at the beginning, so we're not doing anything in that space. And I think the lack of consistency. So say you're always changing your colors, you're always finding new social media templates that you want to use, you're always shifting your fonts because you found a cool new font. The change really doesn't create like this memorable moment for people to remember, like, oh, I want someone when they scroll in Instagram or they go and see your page on your website to know that's you. Like, I want someone to know that this is who, like whether I see you on Instagram, whether I see you on LinkedIn, whether I see you on a podcast graphic, like I know it's all the same person in the same ecosystem. That's what makes you memorable. That's what retains that brand recognition. And without, like, Canva and all these other tools are just they just make us so happy to like start a new template and try something else and just
Yeah.
we lack that
Little bright shiny
consistency.
thing. Mm.
Your
Yeah,
brand
yeah.
fonts can get so boring. Like it's so boring having the same brand font for like a decade. So yeah,
Well,
I do.
well, then you rebrand, but
You
that's
rebrand.
definitely right. I know, but it's so true that like so Court and I, when we started, we did like very quick brand for us. Like we did a logo, we did colors, we did fonts, and we stuck with it. And just this year, we rebranded everything. So 4 years later, which I think that's actually pretty reasonable. Like every 4 or 5-ish years, it probably feels right because your audience changed or you changed. And this rebrand for us too was like making sure you have all the bells and whistles that you need to pull things in. So like, do you have submarks? Can you show up in different ways that still articulate your brand? So like, for example, if you Google Duo Collective, you'll see that we have a peace sign as our little favicon up in the corner. And that's really large now on search engine pages. The favicon is even bigger than it was before. And that's like two, like duo, peace sign, two, like it's a fun little playful thing of us. And that's an icon that we have as part of our brand kit. So like there's little things like that where you can use your brand in all these different places as long as you have something. Like you need to have something to start with. Otherwise you're going to be like, oh, what should I create this time? But it's always going to be different. And you're going to lose that kind of memorableness that you want people to continue to think of you, because you want people, like the backlinks, you want people to think of you and think to link you. And you want people to remember you when their friends are talking about like that certain person that they can refer you to. So that like memorable word of mouthness kind of all stems from having that brand.
That's so true. I don't think we think about that so much. We tend to think about, being referred and people thinking of you from your marketing. I mean, obviously branding comes into your marketing, but it's more about how visible you are, how much you're showing up on social media and all that sort of thing. And that's when people clock you and go, hey, that's the grant writer or that's the copywriter that specializes in conversion copywriting or whatever it is. But your branding is a huge part of that because it's this memorable visual kind of signpost, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So that's probably the biggest thing. And I'd say there are plenty of people out there, like just look around from a budget standpoint. There's so many people out there that can help you. We love doing like long payment plans because we know sometimes at the beginning you don't have a lot of money, but we can set up a long payment plan to make sure that you can kind of work towards that. So people understand that. And I'd say we even have like a brand basics DIY kit that I can share the link for you guys too, that you can just get started thinking about like, okay, what are my colors? What are my fonts? Now I'm going to stick to this, because now once you have your colors and your fonts, you can really start creating that consistency. And then once you create that consistency, you can always rebrand later, but that consistent piece of it, unless you actually set the rules, you're always going to find the new shiny object or the new shiny template to play around with.
Yeah. And what do you do with all the other stuff from your old branding? Like, do you delete it all off social media if it's too inconsistent with your new branding? $1 million question.
Right?
Asking for a friend.
No, we did. I know, right? No, we did not. We didn't delete all of it. So all of that, like if you go to our Instagram, you'll still see it there. It's not such a stark shift, but I also think it's fun. I think it's fun to be able to scroll back and look at like what it used to be and what it is now. We're also just like going through things. Like I think I've updated half of our workflows in like our email subscriber platform too. So like some of our workflows are still our old email, because of course, when you rebrand, there's everything to think about. You have your proposals and your contracts. You have your podcast graphic. You have all of your email welcome sequences. You have all these things that you have to update. And I think we put so much pressure on like doing it all right away. And like we have probably 5 things that we still need to update for our brand, but it's like, it's okay. Like it's fine. People, we're all human. People know that we're not perfect, and just take it one step at a time.
It's a process.
Otherwise you can just get stuck with not doing anything because you can't do everything. And it's important to do something, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
so true.
As we sort of wind to the end, we're big on upskilling, particularly at the beginning of the year. I think that everybody sort of thinks, okay, what can I learn this year? What's on your must learn list for this year?
Oh, I know. I saw this question and I was like, wow, I have so many things that I want to learn this year. I need to hone it in. I'm a big fan of going deeper rather than wider. So that's definitely one of our deeper avenues this year is really to dig more into our podcast. We really want to learn about more ways to market our podcast on different platforms. So I think that's a lot of times when we think new, we think we need to add to our portfolio. And I want to go deeper in some ways rather than add.
Yeah.
And other than that, AI is definitely, we're speaking on AI at a few conferences this year and doing some master classes. So I'm playing around in a new AI tool like every week just to learn it and understand those tools and what works really well for our business and what could work for other people's business. So that's definitely something that we'll continue digging into this year.
I know that we've touched on a few, tools that you like to use, but is there anything you haven't mentioned that you'd be really lost without?
I would say, I mean, from a daily perspective, because we have so many things in our business that are from client stuff to course creation to our podcast, we need to like keep all of the tasks together. I would die without Asana. Like that is our project management tool that we use that I have up every single day. It manages my to-do list. It manages all my projects, all my clients, everything in one place. So that's definitely something that if that went away, I don't know what I'd crumble.
I think we all have. I mean, Rach quite likes Asana, don't you?
I have used Asana, but I moved back onto To-Do, which is, do you know To-Do? It's by a US woman called Tina Rosenberg. And it's so she runs a website called Swiss Miss. But To-Do is like it gives you your whole to-do list at the top along one line for a week. And then you can have recurring to-dos. And then at the bottom, you can create another line of lists that are all specific to whatever you're working on. And it has amazing, like I love the little animations like in Asana. I don't know if it's still got the unicorn and all that sort of stuff, but this one has little animations every time you finish something and tick it off, and that works really well for my brain. But I think you probably have a lot more moving parts with your client work, whereas I'm doing smaller projects perhaps, so it works better for me. But if I had much bigger projects, I would go back to something like Asana or Trello, I think.
Yeah. It's definitely, I need some form of a to-do list. I'm an Enneagram 3 and like that like literally checking a box is like, gives me a dopamine hit. Like,
yes,
it's the best.
There is something important. Well, positive reinforcement, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
and it gives you that achievement every day or every
and we need that. We need that. This has been so brilliant, Abbey. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing all this interesting all your insights. It's so
you really
good.
have made backlinks and domain authority and SEO very, very interesting and not nerdy at all.
Understandable too.
I'm glad. That's what I try to do. Remove the jargon. Just talk about how to make it realistic, right?
Great. We'll put some things in the show notes, but tell our listeners where they can find out more about you and Court.
Yeah, of course. So duocollective.com is our hub for everything. So you'll find everything on there. We have a podcast, Duo on Air, where we talk a lot about SEO and branding. And we also do a group coaching program a few times a year. It's kind of what I like to say is if group coaching and a course had a baby. So it's pre-recorded on your own time, so you can use that recording, but we're also live on Voxer and we do live Q&As. So I guide you through the course. We're together, but it gives you that flexibility to fit it into your schedule. So that is one of my favorite programs because I work one-on-one with copywriters and web designers to teach them how to implement SEO into their own business and also offer it for their clients if they're a service-based business. So that's one of my favorite programs. And then I am in the middle of launching our course, which is basically teaching everyone how to DIY and optimize their own website. So that is basically if you want to know everything I do when I jump into a website and how I do keyword research, how I optimize it, how I set up all of your tools to check on analytics, that is all the secrets in that
Sounds
tool. So
great.
it's called SEO on Tap. I will share all the details with you guys.
That'd be great.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much again, Abbey, for being our guest this week. That brings us to the end of the show this week. But thanks to everybody who's listening, and please leave a rating and review on the platform where you find your podcast. We have had a couple this week and we need to start reading them out, don't we, Lynne?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
We will do that. We will do that next week. We also just wanted to quickly mention the Content Bites Summit 2024 is happening in September, and that is also up now. You can check it out. You can put a deposit on a ticket, a VIP ticket, early bird ticket at thecontentbitesummit.com.au. And I think that's it for us this week.
That is. And we'll see everyone again next week. So thanks, Abbey. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks again to our wonderful
Bye.
sponsors, Rounded, easy accounting and invoicing software that helps freelancers run their business with confidence.
And don't forget, if you're a gold member of Rachel's List, you can check your welcome emails for an exclusive discount code on the annual subscription rate. You can also find it in the private Facebook Gold group, or just contact us at hello@rachelslist.com.au.